Yeah, so Rata Novus, so yeah, the Asura, because they can just divide off into different settlements, because, I mean, there's Rata, like, okay, so there's Rata Soon, there's Rata Novus around here. It seems some of the Asura moved off into the Maguma jungle, and they refused to live above ground, which is interesting. So maybe they preferred the anonymity, or maybe it was tradition, because the Asura lived underground before this. Seems they've got a hovering city now, because hopefully that'll protect them from destroyers, because they come from underground, and they're what drove them out of their home. They're minions of Prime Mortis. And then there's Rata Novus, Rata Soon, and then there's also, at least that we know of, where's that inquest place? Does this have a Rata name? Crucible of Eternity. I mean, this isn't a Rata, but it's a pretty damn big lab. It's like the inquest headquarters. I don't know what these guys are talking about. Maybe, hang on, this person might have some interesting dialogue for us, one sec.
Our enemy has competition here, from aggressive territorial insects that the local Nuhawk call Chak. Before we can blast our way deeper into Maguma, we need to find every ally we can, and learn everything there is to know about these Chak and their domain.
Yeah, the Chak are very dangerous on my home turf. Now, and on the topic of Rata Novus, so it seems they've devoted their time exclusively to studying Elder Dragons. So while it seems Rata Soon is quite focused on just moving on and building a new life, Rata Novus is focused on dealing with that problem, which they are not quite convinced is gone. That was an unsuccessful roller beetle. Now, yeah, here we go. This gigantic tree is where I'm going, I think. Yep. And Tizlak, here we are. What's up?
Tizlak. Well, hello. What brings you through this way? I'm looking for Rata Novus. Ever heard of it? Rata. That doesn't sound promising. I'm assuming you mean an old Asuran City? Yes, near here. Underground. The Nuhawk don't call that Rata Novus. We only know it as a forbidden pit of despair. That really doesn't sound promising. The city has been dead for generations. Only the bravest venture in now. Disappointing news, but I'd still like to check it out. In that case, I can get you a map of the easiest way in. That sounds great. Thanks. The easiest way is still fraught with peril. Of course it is. It's also blocked by a Chak hive. You'll need to dissolve it in order to enter Rata Novus. But don't fret. We Nuhawk have a solution for that, in both senses of the word. You see, the jungle has an answer for every question it poses. In this case, the answer is alchemy. I can craft you this solvent, but it requires Chak enzyme. Bring enough back here and you'll have your key to the city. I will. Where can I find the enzyme? You can harvest them from the Chak themselves. That route will certainly go faster, if you know the ways of our hunters. Or you might find other Nuhawk in the village who are willing to part with theirs. Got it. Thanks, Tizlak.
Over here. Come here for a second.
Need something?
Be cool, be cool. Don't look at me, look down, like there's something interesting on the ground. Yeah, casual. Casual like that, good. Now, word is... Don't look at me! Word is you're in the market for some Chak enzyme. I got some. You interested? Just cost you a little coin, you know?
Woe is me. I'll never see it again. What's the matter? The other day I was hunting Chak for their enzyme. Had a whole satchel full. When I was attacked by the terrible Zakatl. In my haste to flee, I dropped the bag. My heritage warbler was in there. I happen to have a warbler. Given to me by a Nuhawk not long ago. Will it help? What? No. Mine was hand-carved decades ago. An heirloom. What you hold saddens me. Someone told you this was a warbler. It barely lives up to the word. I pictured watching my children's children play with our family warbler. I would blind myself out of shame if I witnessed them playing with whatever that is. Okay, I get it. Trying to gather Chak enzyme anyway. I won't bother you any longer. Wait, I had a lot of enzyme in that bag. Bring me back the Warbler and you can keep it all.
Okay, so for anyone listening, sorry about that. While I was playing earlier, I like blew my nose or something, and I muted my mic while I was doing that because I didn't want that to be on like the footage, obviously. And then I forgot to unmute it, so there's a bunch, like, I don't know, 8 minutes of footage or whatever where it's just there's no dialogue whatsoever, which is a bit sad because a frog tried to sell me drugs and I liked my reaction to that. But oh well, we're back in Rata Novus. It's been a while since my last recording, but with the magic of editing, we are here now.
We should get moving. Where's Taimi?
I told her not to, but she wandered off to study some old tech she said looked fantastically intriguing.
Time is of the essence, but we can't leave her here alone.
Wait, guys! I'm here! Don't get your feathers in such a ruffle, I'm fine!
But we don't have time to wait here while you play with some new toys. A dragon's not just gonna sit around while we find this Rata Novus research.
It's okay, but we can't delay any longer.
Okay, let's go. Now, hopefully, I've altered some settings in NVIDIA, so I'm hoping they'll be a bit higher quality with the resolution. I've also altered some of the sound settings, so hopefully the combat won't overlap.
Chislak was right. The city appears long dead. I guess we won't find any allies to rally for our cause.
Such a pity. All those Asura.
Maybe no new allies, but there is something else here. I'm picking up some prints that are definitely not Asura. Looks like they belong to...
Chak?
Yeah, how did you... Ah, gotcha.
Alright, here we go. Okay, the combat sounds a little bit too quiet actually. I think I'll change this after this fight.
Makes sense the Chak are here. This place is a nexus for ley energy. I speculate these things actually channel it somehow.
Great. Well-fed Chak. They're probably responsible for the death of this entire city.
Luckily, you can withdraw into the safety of your golem. This is obviously no place for an Asura.
Safety of my golem? What's that supposed to mean? Maybe you need the safety of my golem.
What? I'm not saying it. Nature is.
Okay, enough. Let's pick up the pace.
We
need to find the lab where they conducted their dragon research. What's the best way to do that?
Maybe if we power up the city, Scruffy could trace the biggest energy draw. Logically, it should be the hub of their research.
Sounds reasonable. How do you restore power to this place?
That's what I was investigating before you got here, not playing with toys, Bram. Anyway, they had a different procedure for refining ley energy and using it for power.
Impressive.
This thing's an offline ley collector. We could manually turn enough of them on to get the juice flowing, but the Chak will notice and come running.
It's worth the risk. Get it started.
Okay, so I had to come back here and talk to them to trigger the thing. Alright, here we go. So the general idea with Rata Novus is the Chak were attracted to the magic that was in the city because Asura use magitech. So they use magic as effectively a fuel source for all their stuff, which is one of the reasons they're capable of so much complex machinery. Now, yeah.
Glad these Chak are enough of a challenge to keep me sharp from more trouble.
I've got good news for you if you're itching for a fight. The more of these we turn on, the more Chak they'll attract. So yeah, math. Deadly math.
Just keep doing your thing, Taimi. We'll take care of whatever comes.
Okay. And so, the more magic the Asura worked with here, like since the Chak were in the region, they just swarmed this place and they had so much food, so they've multiplied. So I do wonder if Tangled Depths was even so much of a Chak hive central area before Rata Novus appeared. Because, I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering something, but we didn't see them in Guild Wars 1 at all. So 250 years ago, the Chak, I mean, I'm just...
Come on, you stupid!
Okay then.
There! Finally!
Finally, oh god. Alright. Like, I'm assuming they existed? Maybe? Or maybe they're a new species, but I don't know. I assume they from a lore perspective, they technically existed back in the day of Guild Wars 1. But nowadays, they are much more populous. We don't see them in any other regions of the world, which is interesting. They don't seem to have managed to migrate from the Maguma jungle. Maybe there's just not enough play energy in between. Alright, here we go. Considering turning the master volume down a little bit, because I don't know how loud my mic is relative to the actual footage. I might actually find a spot to pause and just double check that. There we go.
How much longer, Taimi?
Still multiple collectors left before the city turns on.
If the power is down, where's this light coming from?
I wondered the same thing, and the Rata Novus had quite an answer. The fixtures above us are actually clusters of optic cables that run up to the surface. They carry natural light down below, no power needed.
All the way down here, and you still get daylight.
It's ingenious! I hope we get to see how they solve one of the underground ventilation problems. It could revolutionize all future Asuran construction.
We won't find it standing here. On to the next one.
I just love the idea of an underground city like this. Just like the look of it's so cool with like the ley architecture, like the ley line architecture, and then there's the Asuran architecture. And these things, I guess they're like just all along this sort of cable on the inside, this hollowed out tube. There's just mirrors the whole way. I think that's the way it works. And so that it just carries the sunlight the whole way down. I don't know. Maybe someone who does science will realize that's not possible with physics. But I don't know. We'll see. Here we go, come on Taimi. Is there a leyline mushroom down there? Oh, here we go, they're starting to get stronger, that's not the best. And I love the idea of the Chak and how they might be, like, or at least they seem very similar to Elder Dragons in the sense that they consume magic, like just like they do. So, it begs the question, like, if a Chak got enough magic, could it reach an Elder Dragon level? Like, oh fuck, I wasn't paying attention there. This is like, there's a meta event.
You're unusually silent, Cantha. Is the call distracting you?
It's actually quite the opposite. It's quiet down here. Mordramoth's voice was growing to a great bellow as we drew closer. Here, it's a whisper. It's a welcome respite.
Was it becoming too much?
Commander, you insult me. I have no plans to give myself over to that beast.
Good to hear.
Alright, yeah. So it seems maybe Mordramoth's call, something I just thought of, maybe it travels through the plants like of the jungle. Maybe it has an easier time traveling through there. And because it's, I don't know, because he's corrupted so many of them perhaps? And because he's got no minions down here, I suppose the Chak would just snipe him. Maybe it's a lot harder. Because distance is definitely a factor, because otherwise the whole, like, because I don't know, minor spoiler, the Pale Tree wasn't completely overrun with Mordred when Mordramoth called out to them. So distance seems to be a factor. Oops. Switch to the wrong skill there.
Just a few more, and we'll have enough power to get any of the surviving systems up and running.
And from there?
Scruffy will allow me to track where all this power is headed.
Good. We find a lab. With any luck, we find their dragon data. Let's get the last one going.
Yeah, so there's also the idea that like some races have been fighting.
Hold up! Scruffy's picking up some unusual reading.
I was talking there.
It looks like it's a golem signature. Old-fashioned, but different than anything I've seen before.
Does that mean?
We must have powered up the city enough to turn on its defenses. And then we triggered said defenses. Yay, us.
Heads up, everyone. Sounds like Asuran tech incoming.
Alright, I'll get onto the video of that later. First of all, I'd like to point out, I love the design of these golems, because they are, like, slightly different, but overall modeled after the golems you see in Guild Wars 1 from the Asura there, in the Eye of the North campaign expansion. So this is a big nostalgia callback for me. Alright, come on. Alright, I might just turn down the volume a little bit, just as a precaution, because I'm having trouble hearing myself, so I hope it doesn't carry over into the mic quality. Are we killing this one too? Alright, looks like I'm killing this one too. And again, I'll find a moment to, like, edit in a cut and just double check that the sound is okay. Oh, come on. Ah! Yeah, so what was I saying? So I love the idea that the Asura seem to be a race that's just spent so much more time than everyone else studying the Elder Dragons. Like, sure, other races have dealt with them, but this is their thing. And it's the same for the dwarves. Like, the dwarves in the first game, like, they were turned to stone, they went, like, underground into the depths of Tyria to fight Primordus and the Destroyers. And the Asura, along with the dwarves, were quite paired when we were first introduced to the Asura in Guild Wars 1. We met the dwarves a bit earlier. Oh fuck, hang on, maybe I should concentrate for a second. Ooh. I really need to remember to set my banners out. And I also need to remember to stop switching weapons by accident. Whoop. Alright, here we go.
The Chak's connection to ley energy is curious. I wonder if it could be employed against Mordramoth.
Going after the Rata Novus research is one thing. Can't waste time studying them now.
Graham, no one has ever wasted time studying.
I have.
Let's stay on course. Which way, Taimi?
Now that we started the engine, I'm getting a sizable power signature. Might be a lab. Follow me and the big guy.
Alright, here we go. So, what the hell was I talking about? Ah, yes, so, because we met the dwarves a lot earlier than the Asura. But when we did meet the Asura, it was Vec and Ogden Stonehealer, a character who is still in the game, like Ogden, I mean. So they were operating together for quite a while.
Should be just around this... Wait. Sorry guys, the signal just moved. I guess the lay equipment on Scruffy's not quite perfected yet.
It's fine. Let's just keep moving before we run into more trouble.
Oop, she phased through me there. I also love the idea that Kanak is talking about. He's like, what if we can get the Chak to fight Mordramoth? Like, I wonder, like, I suppose the... Ooh, hang on, one moment. There we go. Like, I don't know, I suppose Mordramoth, there's not... Because there's not... Are there even any Mordrum in Tangled Depths? I can't remember. Maybe there's no Mordrum here. That sound is very loud. I don't know, maybe there's no Mordrum here. Maybe the Chak... Oh, fuck me. Alright. Okay, hang on. Hopefully it's... Alright, I'm just going to turn down environment sound, maybe. Sorry guys, my channel is very new, so I'm still working a lot of the kinks for this sort of thing. Alright, come on. Ah! Alright, come here. That does sound a little less violating on my ears than before. Alright, what the hell was I talking about? I keep forgetting every time I enter a fight.
Now, Taimi? We back on track?
Think so. We're almost right on top of the source.
Yeah, so it's like, it seems the Chak have done a good job protecting their territory from the Mordrum. So it's like, I don't know, maybe if you fed the Chak a shitload of magic, like maybe I was talking about the meta before, because there's a boss called the Chak Garant, which is like, I don't know, maybe it's like their queen or something, their hive. So I wonder if you fed that thing a crap load of magic, and then sent it at Mordramoth, would it help?
An Asura gate. Similar in design, but probably similar in function.
Is it active? Why isn't it glowing if we turned on the power?
Good question. Let me see. Okay. Good news, bad news. Good news is there's enough power to turn this gate on. Bad news is something's interrupting the flow. Something big.
I think we found the culprit.
I'm assuming this is why the signal was moving earlier. If she wasn't tracking the lab, she was tracking this. Alright, here we go.
You can't stop.
Fortunately, a build designed to fight raid bosses has no trouble here. Oh. Never mind, I went invulnerable. I'll take it all back. Let's just kill everything else. Oh. That looked ridiculous.
Ram!
No! Go! Go!
Nice job, Taimi.
Thanks. But Scruffy did most of the work.
Yeah, well, he's as much a part of the team as you.
I guess so. Sure.
The gate's up. Where do you think it goes? Rata soon?
As far as I know, they were never connected. It must lead deeper into this complex. We should test it out. Make sure it's safe.
How do we do that?
Someone just walks into it, and if they're not obliterated, it works. Who wants to try?
Fine. It's on me then.
I did not agree to this. Okay, maybe check in on Taimi. It's kind of weird saying that she's as much a part of the team as our golem.
Is everything okay, Taimi?
Sorry. Yes, I'm okay, Commander. Well, actually, permission to speak freely?
No.
Always. What is it?
I enjoy serving in this company. Everyone is great, but I'm a member of this team, not its mascot.
I agree. You've more than proved your mettle during this mission.
Oh, you do? Well, I wish everyone else felt that way.
I think they do. Hate to break it to you, but you're a full-fledged part of this team whether you like it or not.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Thanks.
I do actually kind of like that character arc. It feels very natural. Taimi, like, it's shown as well through some of the earlier story. She feels like they just view her as a kid, and that's occasionally useful and needs to be protected at all costs. She can't look after herself. But she is really proving that she's coming into her own. Alright, this is a terrible idea, but let's do it. Can you imagine this? Just, sorry, I'll continue that thought in a moment. Are they coming through? How did they know that I wasn't obliterated? Alright, whatever.
Great job not dying, Commander! I told you that gate would... I hope no one was planning on going back that way.
Where'd we end up?
There's a huge ley draw ahead of us. I bet my transverse wave inverter it's the Dragon Lab.
Oh, looks like it.
We seem to be outnumbered.
Oh, here we go.
This isn't a lab to them. It's a dining hall.
Dining hall, she was going to say before
Wait.
it cut off.
The emblem on that glass door.
The dragon! That must be it!
Alright.
We need to get through that mess and open that lab.
We can't. The door that leads down those stairs is dead.
So we're trapped here? The only other way out was through the gate that just exploded?
Maybe? Probably. Yes.
There has to be a way to get the doors working again.
Oh! Hold on!
Can you imagine if when we went through the gate we just got like blown up, just we died, and that's the end? It's like, thank you for playing Guild Wars 2. It's been a great great few years for our team. What's she doing?
Ley energy powers this whole place, and this ley conduit is blown. It almost certainly rendered the doors to this room and the lab inoperative when it went. If we can complete the circuit, they'll both open for sure.
Any ideas, people?
I have a thought. Scruffy can bridge the gap. The ley tech I outfitted him with should conduct the energy.
But will he survive?
Well, I'm not sure.
Taimi, back at Dry Top where the Inquest destroyed Scruffy and almost captured you. I can't...
You can't what? Let a child make her own decisions? I'm not a child, and this is what I'm doing. Maybe I wasn't ready for it at Dry Top, but I'm ready now.
Fair enough. But once the doors are open, we'll still have a ton of Chak to contend with.
I have an idea for that too, but first things first. All right, big guy. It's time. You know what to do.
Why did he stop?
Go on. It's okay. I'll be okay.
No. So her golem was hesitant to go in because its protocols were like to protect Taimi at all costs, and it wasn't sure if she could be able to handle herself. But she's very sentimentally attached to it. Sentimentally.
Thank you, Taimi. Now, about those Chak.
Yes, we're devastatingly outnumbered.
Never been a problem.
Commander, when you were young, do you remember the bad kids burning beetles with a magnifying lens?
What?
Sure. Why?
Because I'm about to be bad. The device in that room is basically a huge telescope. I can reconfigure all the lights in there to feed into the lenses, turning it into a giant heat ray.
Then we have ourselves a Chak cookout. Brilliant.
Do what you need to. We'll back you up.
Okay, here we go.
Alright, let's do it. I wonder if we eat them, will we get magic powers? Because they're full of magic, these little things. Alright, come on, come on, come on. Alright, screw it, I'm just gonna jump in here. Sorry, it's getting very excited.
Fend them off until she's done.
Alright, come on. Alright, yes, so back to the idea. I wonder if we could actually send the Chak. Although there is the problem that Mordremoth might just kick its ass and eat it and then become even more powerful. I don't know. Maybe we'll just focus it on the minions? Where's Taimi gone? Oh. Did we just... Where is she? Hang on. Did we just leave a child to run around in the middle of a Chak fight? Yes, we did. We did. She should be dead by now, but plot armor's a thing, I guess. I mean, look at the size comparison. This is like when people get attacked by giant spiders. I'm having like Frodo vs. Shelob like flashbacks. Alright, where the fuck did she go? Taimi! Alright. It's times like this that I'm reminded that her name sounds like Taimi. I'm assuming that's where they found the inspiration for her name. Because Child Asura, they can like fit in the palm of a human hand. She's a little bit more grown.
Commander!
What?
It's okay, Taimi. We're right here.
Position the lenses on the microscope. Have to get to that console now.
Are you sure this is necessary? I'm killing them pretty damn quick. Unless a few big ones show up, like I could just slaughter them all. There is a scene like that a bit later where I think they're working in really well. If I remember, it's Chak, and like it's not in Heart of Thorns. It's a bit further on. It's like you get attacked by a bunch of Chak, and they genuinely overwhelm you. And then a bunch of NPCs come in and turn the tide of the fight. It's actually I love it when games do that. But because with this one, it just feels so unnatural. It's like, oh my god, it's so dangerous. It's like I can kill all of them without any help.
Refreshing.
There's a scene like that in Guild Wars 1 as well, where it's just there's like the Masat, the villains for that game, who are like absurdly powerful mages who at the time you don't have any like protection from their magic, and an army of them appears, and I think if I remember, like the objective is just run. It's just like, oh god.
Hold on. Get your crawly legs off of me! Focusing all the light clusters in this room into one point.
And the mission isn't okay. How do we deal with this? No, it's how the fuck do we get away? And you're literally just running from this army for the whole like end of the mission. I know there's another one as well. Like big nostalgia one for a lot of people will be when you find the Char north of the wall, like when you're on the scouting mission. And it's just there's so many of them that it's like it's you try to just fight, like you would genuinely get massacred. So you actually have to do like it. So I like it when the game organically makes you do something rather than just tells you to do it when you really don't have to. I mean, I suppose if all of them swarm me at once, there'd be a problem, but they're not because of the way the NPC physics work. How much does she have limited health? I wonder if they do damage her a bit. Does that actually make any difference? I don't know. You don't really fail missions in Guild Wars 2. Like in Guild Wars 1, you could reach the point if you died enough times that you're just like your skill recharge is so screwed that you really can't go on. You have to reset, or at least I had to deal with that a fair bit because I was really young when I played it, so that happened to me quite a bit. Because I was not the smartest cookie back then.
Come on.
Almost there.
Commander.
What?
Taimi, I can't keep them away forever.
Well, I can.
Got it. Watch out.
What's about to happen? I'm just gonna like make a heat ray or something. Ooh. Ah, okay. Excuse me. Thank you. Big boy, come here. There we go. This is working nicely. Siphon off their health here. Or regen through blood loss, or whatever the idea is. Come here. Also try not to burn to death. Well, that worked reasonably well, aside from the fact that I'm about to drop down because of the fire. Ow. Thank you, Brian. I suppose Guardians are good at healing burns. Ew, over here. Well, this is just... I just feel bad now. This is bullshit for the Chak. If only she could move the beam. I suppose, I don't know. She could work on that if she had the time.
Adrenaline rising.
Alright, here we go. Now, I do, like, if there's ever a Guild Wars 3 or anything, I mean, like, the Chak are, like, they're around at the end of the Hardcore expansion. They're more of a...
That was amazing.
It smells better than I would have imagined, too.
I really want to eat one. Like, I really want to try it with Taimi. Oh, right, she's still there. I just couldn't see she's tiny because she's so small. She's small. What was I saying? Yeah, because like the Chak, they're more of like a lore-based factor in the story. Like they're just like, okay, what's a cool thing to occupy this map? Like, what we're going into, like, well, this is sort of stuff, and I really love them for that purpose. So, but because of that, it's not really much of a spoiler to say they're still like in play at the end of the Rata Novus expansion because we're not here to exterminate the Chak. They're kind of just in our way. They're just wildlife in the Maguma. So,
Is this it? Is this the right place?
Boot up these machines and we'll find out.
but I do wonder, like, what would the Chak be like in, say, a Guild Wars 3 storyline if it was like, if we ever get it, like, if we ever get Guild Wars 3 and so maybe it's set like 100 or a few hundred years later, like, would the after effects of Guild Wars 2 impact it somehow? Like, impact them? Like, would they still be around? Would they fade away? Like, who knows? Like, because there are some implications that are built into the story as we go on that I can explain later, and it really makes me wonder where they could be in a while. They're like an extremely intriguing creature.
These Rata Novans had a serious beef against Primordus.
Can't blame them for that.
Anything on Mordramon?
No. Well, sort of. It's about all the Elder Dragons.
What is it?
Based on their extensive research on Primordus, the Rata Novans determined that each Elder Dragon had a weakness. A unique, respective weakness.
And does it say...
What it is? No.
We easily the fleet went down. It's obvious the way you and my mother stopped Zaitan won't work here. So what do we do now?
This is good news, people. We've been charging headlong against Mordremoth, not even knowing if it can be beaten, only knowing we had to beat it. Now we know it's possible. Our mission is to find out how. To do that, we have to get closer to Mordremoth. And thanks to that lay map, we know exactly where it is.
Let's catch up with the others then. I suppose it'd be nice to have some help finding this weakness.
Alright, let's talk to Taimi.
Thanks for everything, Taimi. So, does this mean no more Scruffy?
Oh no. I already have design plans for Scruffy 2.0. Little trim here, little tuck there, and weapons, lots of weapons.
Yes, I
But
remember.
no golem for the immediate future means this is the end of the road for me. I'll be staying in Rata Novus with all this delectable research. Bummer!
Alone? Are you sure?
Hey, would you ask Ritlock if he was sure? To knock?
Point taken. Should I send word to someone back at Radasum? Let them know you're here.
No thanks. I'll take care of that. In like a few weeks or so.
Don't want to get flooded again, huh?
Not particularly.
Okay, Taimi. I hope to see you soon.
Me too, Commander. Give that dragon a good one for me.
Yeah, so getting flunted, what he's talking about there. One of the counselors who effectively has the authority, like in terms of younger Asura who haven't graduated from the colleges yet, they can just seize their research if they want. So Taimi had a huge project before where she figured out all the waypoints across Guild Wars, across the map of Guild Wars. They actually run along ley lines, or at least very minor ones, but they run along ley lines, and that's why Mordremoth seemed to be attacking them specifically, because they were running along ley lines, and they were focus points, and that's how they worked so well. And so Taimi developed this algorithm machine thing, which would sort of revolutionize the way the waypoints work, so they weren't vulnerable to creatures like Elder Dragons just snapping them up, which is huge if you think about the implications for the lore. Because if an Elder Dragon can suddenly just reach out and just shut down all the waypoints interior, then and maybe even the Asura gates too, then all of a sudden we're back to medieval levels of transportation. If if I don't know, Jormag flares up and somehow manages something like that, and we're all down in Maguma, then it's gonna take us months to get up here. So it was a huge problem that Taimi averted by sort of developing this algorithm thing. And Flunt just rocked up and stole it. And she couldn't really do anything about it in terms of the Asura lore and so on. So this time, when she has access to all of this research and stuff from ancient Asura, which could make her name in the Asura world forever, she'd be an absolute beast in terms of how much reputation she has. So this time she wants to keep it even more secret, which is a big risk given all the Chak here, who knows what else. But I kind of understand where she's coming from. As an Asura and how obsessed they are with their reputation in terms of their inventions and discoveries and all their technology they develop, I understand how it is. They are as fanatical about that as Char are fanatical about war. Oh, and also speaking of that, I love how it's a bit nostalgic as well. Char looking at destroyers and so on, because the Char had it's the three main races that were impacted by destroyers were the Char, the Dwarves, and the Asura. The Dwarves mostly, then the Asura, I'd say. They're relatively equal in terms of they went to war with them. But the Char used to worship them. The Flame Legion, after the Guild Wars 1 main story, they found the destroyers and started worshiping them as gods. And it's hard to see how much they could have progressed if they were left to discover Prime Mortis. The Flame Legion might have worshipped Prime Mortis as a god, which, I don't know, maybe Prime Mortis would have taken advantage of that? It's unclear how intelligent he is. Anyway, I'm rambling. It's time to continue with the story.